Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Core Racing Network tonight. Round number 3 here for the Core GT Series, Season 4 for this multi-class racing. And if you're just tuning in for the first time here this season, it is the LMP3 class and a GT3 class, and both fields are just are stacked with talent. We see some good racing last week as we had the doubleheader opening off the season, as we typically do, with the half-hour race and then a 90-minute race at Canadian Tire up in Canada. And now we head over to Italy, to Imola, also known as the Autodromo Internazionale Dino Ferrari. Carl Hamwork joined in the booth by Mark Thomas. And Mark, did I at least get the track name right this time? Give me a pass. Come on. B minus. I'll take it. So actually, hold that thought, Mark. Hold that thought, Mark. Let's try that again. Let's try that again, because it didn't look like your Discord was working. How about now?
Well,
there we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
So Mark, Imola. How do you feel about Imola here tonight, buddy?
Well,
I got the track name right. Here, let's be clear. He said I did it 100% absolutely perfect. For you guys that didn't hear it, he said for an American. For an American.
Yeah, for an American.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll take it.
All right, so Imola, buddy.
Yeah, well, it's not long. It's not been long since we've been here, guys. So, I mean, in all fairness, we should be. Like, I say we should be good, but it's going to be an interesting race, that's for certain. A lot of guys who were in the previous GT series have got some time around this track, so you're going to be, I think you will see who's put time down here and who hasn't, because, you know, as we said from the last time that we raced here, this is not an easy place to get around quickly. You can get around it, but to put some lap time in, to get some quick laps in here, you need to know it.
So what do you think is more important? I'm sure it's going to be both, yes, everything. But, I mean, a couple tight little chicanes here, obviously starting off with turns, you know, 1, 2, and 3 right off the bat. But a few little sections here that has some really tight chicanes. But you also have some decent straightaways, too. So what's more important? Is it working through those chicanes cleanly and getting through fast? Or is it just really focusing on those big straightaways to try and get some kind of draft and make your passes?
I think, you know what, today I think that's going to depend on car class, because I think the GTs are going to want to try and take as much curb as is possible to try and straighten those chicanes out and keep that speed up. Whereas I don't think you're going to be able to do that, because those LMP cars do not have a great deal of suspension travel. So I don't think that the LMPs are going to be able to take as much curb as some of the GT stuff will tonight. But I honestly think that you're probably going to see a spin or two from the LMP3s taking a bit too much curb and unsettling that car. But yeah, I think the LMP cars aren't that much quicker in a straight line than the GT3s, not really. So they're going to need to keep that, you know, they're going to need to keep that speed up. You know, 2-3 Tamburello, as it's called. I'm just pointing that out there. Just, you know, I'm just saying. I think it's going to be important for the LMPs, because they're going to be able to keep a fair bit of speed up down there. They're going to want to use that downforce. Turn 7 Tosa, I think that's going to even things out. Aqua Minerale, the entry into Minerale, that's going to be LMP playground. They're going to want to make a big dive into there, because turn 12 is sharp. And Ravazza, of course, you know, that last little sequence before you get onto the straight. Well, not onto the straight, onto the straight before you reach Bassa, which is the little kink that leads onto the main straight.
Yeah, I think there's some opportunities for passing, but I think this is going to be one of those tracks where these two track classes are going to struggle. I think it's going to be really difficult for, you know, even the LMP3s to pass the GT3s, let alone passes within your own class. It's a track that's really technical, and you really gotta get the power down wherever you can. But again, there's only so much to be had. I mean, both these classes pretty much have about the same amount of power get down coming out of the corners. It's really the place where you notice the big difference is through the corners. That's where the LMP3s kind of really shine. They just have a lot more downforce going through the corners. Problem is, unless you've already set yourself up for that pass going into the corner, you're going to have to try and make the pass around the outside, or try and put yourself in a bad spot. So it'd be very interesting to see how these guys handle each other and themselves for that matter. But they are out there qualifying at the moment, and we'll bring up the current qualifying results right now. And you see about 3 minutes left in qualifying. Chris Hamilton on top of the boards for the LMP3s. And you got Hector Colazzo on top of the boards for the GT3s, new guy here to the series. You won't see the likes of Mason Smith on top of the boards or Tyler Kokega on top of the boards here in qualifying, as we typically do now that we have a points kind of set up here. Is the points leaders cannot qualify. That is one thing that's kind of unique to this series, and it certainly makes it very interesting. I mean, you see everybody in the LMP3 so far has put in a lap time, except for Matthew Goring, and still got a few GT3s to put in a lap time. But it's kind of the hopes of your guys like Mason Smith and Tyler Kokeko that some guys throw away their lap times and don't actually get a qualifying lap in, because it's a chance for them to start in front of them instead of having to start from the absolute rear of the field. But
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see them try and work their way through the fields. Obviously, they're going to be those guys as fast guys at the back of the pack, but you'll have some other guys sprinkled through there. I mean, you see right now, looking at the GT3 standings, I'm seeing, Pau Casca back there in 8th place, Craig Potter in 10th. These guys are going to have to try and work their way through the field too. And as we said, it is a stacked field. So good luck to all the drivers out there. But Mark, what are you looking forward to? I mean, obviously last week we had the doubleheader, so they had a quick little 30-minute race, then a bit of an endurance race, a 90-minute race. But here you split that in half, and you got 45 minutes. So is the mentality changed at all here tonight?
Yeah, I honestly think it is. And as you said earlier on, Carl, you can't waste time around here. So I think there's going to be a lot more aggression here tonight. I think people are going to want to try and make their moves quickly because they do not want to get held up. It is essentially a sprint race. I know 45 minutes doesn't sound like much of a sprint race, but in this kind of field with the cars, so closely matched, I think making a place as quickly as possible is going to be a big benefit here for you today. So I think that there's going to be a little bit more aggression out there. I'm looking forward to see the guys who started at the front, trying to get through the field from the back. This should be interesting. I'm not sure I want to be starting in the pack. I think if I was last week, I think I would have hit the brakes before I crossed the start line, because I don't think I'd want to be last trying to get around here. I mean, it's not wide, really. For a racetrack, it's quite narrow.
No, I mean, this isn't wide for the Tour de France, let alone for a multi-class series. But we're all set up here, and we've got 28 guys here getting ready to take the green flag, as we got 11 LMP3s, and then you can do the math. The rest of them, you got 17 guys out here in the GT3 class getting ready to take the green flag. But we'll give you a quick rundown of the grid order here as soon as my mouse and computer decide to work. I thought it was just the mouse batteries. No, still crapping out. I think it's just too many cars out here, Mark. It's phenomenal, but it's it's apparently killing my my Pennsylvania internet here.
It's okay. I'm over here with the UK internet, and everything's working fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're good.
Exactly. You did something right over there. All right. So
wow,
for your LMP3 class, we've got Chris Hamilton on the pole with a 139.946. Alex Carver starting in second. Justin Kirby and Sahaz Padiyar in the second row. David Tilford and David Tamira rounding out row number 3. Row number 4 is going to be Jimmy Covert and Nathan Quelzo. And will it show me the rest? Apparently not. Come on. Right, how about we switch over to this then, if you want to be cranky about it. So in 9th place is going to be your points leader, Mason Smith. 10th place is going to be Matthew Goldring, and then rounding out your LMP3 field is going to be in 11th place, Derek Booker. In the GT3 field, it is going to be on the pole, Mark Gonzalez with a 143.147. Hector Colazzo in second, Dominique Ford, Parks de la Cruz, Timothy Ponzi rounding out your top 5. Then you got Josh Anderson, Mark Parkhurst, Val Casca, Derek Sherman, Craig Potter rounding out your top 10. B. Vishvasam, Michael Viglio, Matt Crockett, Joe Morantz rounding out your top 14. Then you got points leader Tyler Kokeko in 15th, Joe Sullivan in 16th, and Terry Jansen in 17th. We are getting ready to fire these things off as we are now single file and coming through Rivazza right now, and the pace car is going to pull off a little bit of a wait here for these guys. They come down through the beginning part of this track. But Barney ready to wave the green flag. And you see him right there up in his little perch, waiting. And there we go. I thought he fell asleep there for a second, but we are green flag racing. Maybe he was just waiting to give the green flag to the GT3s first and let these LMP3s run by, but heading it now in through Tamburello. Comes the field, and you see the GT3s not too far behind. And now they head into the second chicane of Villeneuve.
It's you know, the LMPs have not stretched out from the field. I thought that they were just going to be absolutely gone, but that is not the case in any way, shape, or form. There's a move here, right from the beginning.
Yep, and it's going to be Hector Colazzo going to the inside, and they're still battling side by side, heading up the hill. Very close, and maybe even a little bit of bump in there between Mark Gonzalez and the Marlboro Mercedes, and then you got Hector Colazzo on the inside of the Porsche, and bumping again as these guys are not wasting any time. It's minute 1, and they're already getting a little physical. But it's going to...
Ford already pulled onto the back of this 3 as well, so this should be interesting. Ford by no means slow in any way, shape, or form. Smoke.
Yeah, I see smoke. I don't see... Oh, there we go. There we go. No. And it's, yeah. And before we take a look at that crash, we'll take a look back here. Your points leader, Tyler Kokeko, having a bit of an issue here in the beginning. And I'll tell you what, okay, I was going to say if he doesn't lock it up right there. But that's a rough start here for the 37, winner of both races last week. But now he's got a ton of time to make up.
Well, can I just say before we go any further, while we look back over the incidents, it looks like I'm just checking the live chat right now, and the Kakeko fan club are in absolutely full effect. We've got Cody Jacobs, David Bragg, Haley Assels, Barry, Cody, yeah, the Kakeko Let's Go Trash Fan from Dave Bragg, Haley Assels, you got this Tyler, good luck. Yeah, it looks like they're in full effect. Barry TK, also Mike Gonzalez, don't discount Jimmy Covert, lots of good drivers. Barry going Chris Hamilton for tonight. Smith and Kakeko wins for both classes. Yeah, should be interesting.
So watching right there, huge impact from Nathan Quelzo pulling out in front of Dominique Ford. And Ford, there's nothing he can do about that when you see some heavy damage to the front of that Mercedes, and he's already going to bring that thing in and take the fast repair. I mean, maybe this will be okay and work out, as you know, he's going to have some clean track to get back out here onto, and maybe this will work out as his one and only pit stop that he's going to need here tonight. But man, that was not a good move by Quelzo, and I'm sure he's going to get a bit of a tongue lashing from that one there, as that was just a terrible move, pulling out in front of everybody like that. But as it stands, it is Chris Hamilton at the front of the field here for the LMP3s. See, Mason Smith has only made up a little bit of ground. He's only in 7th place right now. But Alex Carver hanging with Chris Hamilton here at the front is only about a 0.7 of a second lead. Going back to the GT3s, you see this battle is far from over, as Mark Gonzalez still leading, but Colazzo right there on his bumper, as this thing is only 0.4 of a second in between. You got to take a look back pretty far before you get to your points leader here in the GT3 series, and that's Tyler Keiko back here now making a pass, moving up into 14th position. But again, a lot of ground to make up, and these 45-minute races surprisingly go pretty quick, Mark.
Yeah, very true, very true. A single stop, so this should be interesting when they actually feel that they can make their pit stop in, and I think that's really going to be quite important this evening. Trying to find yourself a clean piece of track, I think, could work to your benefit. If you could get clean laps in where you're not in the draft of the guy in front of you, disrupting the air coming over your car, that could play a big part. Also, I mean, it's nice if you've got a free track down in front of you, you can just put your lap times in. You're not worried about the car behind you, you're not constantly checking your mirrors. All of this stuff does make a difference. It can upset how you drive, because there has to be an element of defense if you're driving with somebody in your mirrors. You see here from Mark Gonzalez, the back of that Merc, every now and then just looking a little slick on exits, just wobbling just a fraction, just a little bit of weave, as it looks like Colazzo is absolutely trying to hunt him down.
So at a track like this, where, I mean, this is probably your biggest opportunity to draft and try and make a pass going into Tamburello, is this a track where you have to get more aggressive than you typically would? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of passing opportunities, but really ultimately there's not. So do you have to get super aggressive here? Is there a certain point where you kind of throw caution to the wind in this kind of race? We can maybe the last 5-10 minutes, or do you just kind of sit back and just hope and wait for that guy in front of you to make that little bit of a mistake?
Oh, you see, that's a tough question. For me, I think with this track, I would prefer to be in second and put the pressure on the guy in front, because this is one of those tracks where it is quite easy to make a mistake. So if you can keep the pressure on the guy in front of you, if you can keep making him able to move around a little, or getting his mirrors or flash your lights, and that's another Carl handwork speciality,
yes,
is the phantom light flash from nowhere, just when you think you're safe. I think that could be just what it needs to put the guy in front of you off, and just put him a little bit offline, and just by the looks of it, I think that might be what Colazzo's doing right now. He doesn't want to be too close, because he doesn't want to be in the dirty air of that Merc, or maybe Gonzalez has just got his head into that car and is now just trying to pull away. But looking at the way that Hector's driving that Porsche at the moment, it's very, very smooth. He doesn't look fussed at all. He's got good lines. This should be interesting.
We are only 7 minutes in this race, so still plenty of racing to go, but looks like we had a couple incidents here that we want to just head back to, and unfortunately it looks like Dominic Ford had another bit of an issue as Terry Jansen driving around there with a bit naked on the back there, and that could certainly have with the little spin right there on Dominic Ford, and looks like he jumped into the pits from there. And then Justin Kirby was having a pretty good race there, sitting in P3. But
yes, that curve. Exactly what I said earlier. You don't want to be hitting those curves with that LMP.
I saw that he came back on the track, but I guess that was the off and that was the on track right there, and just kind of went off into the nothing. So hopefully for yeah, I'm not even showing him. I'm showing him dead last right now. So hopefully for his case, at least send him back to the pits, and he's got a chance at this thing yet. But yeah, Justin Kirby making one little mistake right there, and unfortunately finds a little gap in the graphics here, and literally falls through. So that's a shame when you have something like that. I mean, a simple little spin like that may not even hit the wall. Could have probably just spun that thing back around and get back going. And for the for the game to just say no, you're gone. That's kind of heartbreaking.
You said game.
You heard me.
It's not game. It's a sim.
Well,
it's a sim.
In simulations, you don't just fall through the grass. So in a case like that, it's a game.
I know.
When they fix the grass and they don't allow you to fall in between the little blades of grass, then I'll start calling it a sim again. That is Mason Smith off the track right there, and we'll show you what happened here as Mason was trying to make his way up through the field and doing a pretty good job, but loose going in there and catching the curbs the wrong way. Hard impact there with David Tamira as well. I'll show you on board here from David Tamira. It just gets clipped and sends right up and around. Hard impact into the wall as well. So that was not exactly the way that Mason Smith wanted to have his night here. He needs to try and get through the pack as quick as possible. But now back in 7th place behind David Tamir, the guy that I got together with there after he spun. As they are running behind your leaders here in the GT3 field, and that is Mark Gonzalez and Hector Colazzo still neck and neck. This is one of the best battles on the track, and probably the second best battle is the one right behind them with David Tamira and Mason Smith.
Yeah, both those LMPs look a little worse for wear right now. Whereas the two GT3s look absolutely spotless.
And it looks like, yeah, Mason Smith going to come in, so not sure if it was damage that brought him in or if he's just going to go ahead and make his one and only pit stop, try and get out clean air. I don't think there's too much clean air to be spoken for there, Mark. I mean, taking a look at that track map, you got cars all over the place.
I was just about to say, I've just looked to my right and look at the track map, and there's a gap, a small one at that, if you're lucky.
Yeah, there's a gap from what, the beginning of Ravatsa to the end of Ravatsa. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. There's your gap. Take it or leave it. Going back to the live, Dave Boat Canadians come in numbers. I'm just going to leave that. Yeah, they do. They do support each other well, and I mean, we love that. We love that here at Core Racing Network. Cody Jacobs, ridiculous for Ford, feel terrible, needs a lucky break. Yeah, Ford is inherently unlucky. I think he's taken my place as the unluckiest bloke in GT racing.
Yeah, quite possibly. That's not a title that you want either.
No, it really isn't. Curtis Williams with them. Let's go, Mason. That was unfortunate for Mason back there. But once again, as we said at the beginning, these LMP cars do not respond well to curbs, and the curbs around here at Imola, they are severe. They take no prisoners. All of the sausage curbs here are absolutely ridiculous. They're not sausages, they're more like small mountains, as you can see just from there.
They're full on hams.
They're aggressive.
Yeah. they're honey baked hams. They're not sausages here. And that's the thing. If they were just curbs right there, I mean, you'd be able to fly through there, grab as much curb as you want. It's great. I mean, you see the exit right there. You can take all the curb you want, but and these LMP3s, they're so low to the ground. They're so, forced down there with downforce and aero that you cannot even just look at the side of one of those sausage curbs. It's going to throw you for a loop, and we've seen exactly that so far here tonight. Good pass there from Saj Padiyar, getting around Jimmy Covert to move it into 4th position. And now looks like David Tamira going to do the same thing that Mason Smith just did. He's going to come into the pits this time and take his service. So 2 of the LMP3s already getting it done, but I mean, take a look at the overall standings. I mean, obviously it's something that me and Mark can see on our side here. You got LMP3s mixed all through the GT3 field right now.
Yeah, a lot of the GT3 drivers, they've been here before. A lot of these guys who are now in this GT3 field are familiar with this track, and they've put some laps around here. So you know, they know it well. They know and they know how the track lays. They know how to drive a GT car around here. So you know, I would expect a lot of them to to have a really good idea of what the hell is that. Colette's in front of
it. It is, and we'll show you how the pass happened right here. Getting a good run down the front stretch, and a fantastic run. I'd like to see what exactly happened there to Mark Gonzalez coming out of Ravazza, but maybe he got held up by the LMP3. But easy pass there for Colazzo into the first position here in the GT3s.
Phenomenal drive, absolutely superb drive. They're still looking very controlled in that car. Colazzo looking absolutely well on top of that Porsche. Super smooth, not seeming to be able to place it where he wants. But knowing Mark as we do, he will not be happy about that and will not want to give that up. So I can see him pushing to try and make that back.
Yeah, not let him go at all. It's still only a second in between them. Take a look back and mention about Pal Casca starting back in the pack here a little bit in the GT3s, but he's slowly making his way up through the field right now in 5th place, but right behind Parks de la Cruz as they head down into Ravazza here. And this is the battle for 4th position. Actually, that was not Ravazza. That's the other end of the track here. I'm looking at the wrong numbers here on the track map. Up through Aqua Minerale. Listen, it looked like that turn. I was calling it by the right thing, just wrong turn. Yeah.
So that's outer. They've just come through now.
Now they will head down towards Ravazza. Like I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. So now they head into Ravazza. Like I said. And Mark de la Cruz doing a good job right now, holding it back the little charge here from Casca, but another charge here is coming from Mark Gonzalez, and he's got it down under a half a second here as they head through Tamburello. And I'll tell you what, I mean, we've certainly seen some guys get off track, and it's to be expected. There's some guys out here that really put some time in, put some practice in. There's some guys that just don't have the time, and their only chance to practice these tracks is the practice before the session starts. And you're kind of seeing the fruits of the labor for some of these guys, who've been able to put down a bunch of laps, or have run this in the previous season here in the Core GT series and got plenty of laps in. It seems the cream is rising towards the top here a little bit, but some newer guys out there as well. I mean, obviously right here leading the GT3 field is Colazzo, and new here to the GT series, but certainly putting a stamp on the start of his career here, and doing a good job as looking to make a pass, and that they will make the pass there on, I believe that was Coelzo in the back of the LMP3 field. But yeah, this battle I think is far from over, Mark.
Oh no, Mark, you and I both know Mark Gonzalez, and he is never one to give up. He's also incredibly quick in no matter what he drives. He's got great pace. So yeah, I can see him pushing on. The only thing that does concern me right now is the tyres on that Merc, because it's not known for being super tyre friendly. Let's just put it like that. I mean, neither is the Porsche.
I was just about to say, yeah, that Porsche not exactly either.
Yeah, but I think the aggression that Mark has had to put into, as you can see, he takes a whole bunch of curve there, and immediately it just drops them back. It's this place, man. This just is. You have to be super controlled. You can't afford to touch any of the curves, otherwise it just destroys your lap time. And I think that that Hector is. Oh, was. Although that was wide.
Yeah.
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 I think that.
It's a place where you have to be. You have to be aggressive, especially when you got a field like this and it's tough enough to pass. You're going to have to be aggressive, but it's a track where you really can't be aggressive. I mean, it's one where you have to really hit your marks. You can't go to the inside of pretty much any of these corners because the sausages are just waiting there, you know, to grab you. Every one of these corners has got sausages on the inside that you just cannot get to the inside, and that's where you feel like you're going to make up the most time. You feel like, okay, I just got to cut this corner a little bit more so I can get just that little bit of edge. And as soon as you just cut it a fraction too much, you're killed. I mean, you've seen it right there. But Marc Gonzalez within probably about a quarter second, and now he had to take the entire rest of the lap just to get back to 1 second behind Galazzo here for the lead. But still doing a good job, still plugging away. And again, I don't think this is going anywhere too fast. So I think these guys are pretty evenly matched up and pretty clear that they're the top of the class right now, as they are 8.5 seconds ahead of Tim Ponzi in third.
Yeah, they're putting on an absolute clinic right now. Showing the rest of the GT3 field just how to get around here. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for some of these guys to make some of these lap times. To make some of these lap times back, because judging by the looks of it, they are a 1:43.37 and a 1:43.54, which is a fair bit quicker than most of the other guys in that class. I'm just looking through the rest of the lap times.
Well, it's kind of funny looking at the last lap time there for Hector Galazzo was actually technically his fastest lap of the race, but since he went off track, it doesn't actually count. So be interesting to see, you know, what these guys' fast laps actually are. I mean, I see actually it's the LMP3s down there, but a lot of guys are starting to run their fastest laps of the race. I mean, I'm looking at 5-6 guys right there just on the timing and scoring that ran their fastest lap of the race, and you take a look right there. Tilford now on that last lap running the fastest lap. Saj Padilla running the fastest lap. So the fuel is burning off of both the GT3s and the LMP3s, and I think these guys are starting to get a little bit more worn into this track and get a little bit of feel for it. And again, that could be a blessing, and it could also be something that just comes out and bites you, because as soon as you get a little comfortable with the track, especially like Imola, it's just going to snap and it's going to backhand you.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. That's the trouble with Imola, is when you think that you've got it, when you think that, you know, I could just settle into my groove, Imola will just come out and go, no, and serve you a dose of reality, and just say you cannot take your focus down for 1 second here, otherwise it will just eat you alive.
Looked like a little bit of I don't know if that was netcode or Viglio just really quickly turning off to the right there to avoid the LMP3 coming up on him. But
suspension damage, I would say.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of crabbing on that one. So as it stands, we'll take a run through the field here as we are now into minute 21 of this race. So getting close to the halfway point, and out front of the field here is Chris Hamilton doing a fantastic job. He's got the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:39.01, as he's got a 2.5 second lead over Alex Carver. It was up to about 4.5 seconds, so Carver's starting to edge into that time a little bit, and it could be just, you know, when these leaders catch the GT3 cars, you see a good amount gained right there by Carver. As we take a look at him, as he is in second place, these guys, pretty much the only guys in the entire field in the positions that they started in. Saj Padilla are doing a good job, and I want to kind of keep an eye on him in the race, because he seemed to have some pretty good pace in practice, and obviously did a pretty good job in qualifying in P4 and running in P3 right now. But even right behind him, David Toford, he seemed like he had okay pace in practice, but it seemed like he was just struggling anytime we took a look at him. So it's a good thing he got that thing under control. Maybe he was just kind of testing the track limits out. But now he is in a battle here for third and getting a good run out is the battle for the last podium position here in LMP3, as they will head around the GT3 car there. Jimmy Covert back here in 5th position. And then we'll switch over to our GT3 class for the top 5. You got Hector Colazzo in 1st place. Obviously, you don't have to look too far back to Mark Gonzalez here in 2nd. 3rd place, quite a ways back, but kind of just running his own race. Timothy Ponzi doing a good job back here, as he is about 11.7 seconds behind your lead pack right there, but he's got a 5.6 second lead over this man here, who doesn't exactly have that much of a lead at all, as these guys are still going at it. You got Parks De La Cruz in 4th place, Pal Casca right behind him in 5th place. So, Mark, what are your thoughts here? First half of the race is over now, and certainly the field is stretched out. Getting very interesting for some of these battles here, but I tell you what, the biggest thing that is interesting to me is, maybe not surprising, but our points leaders stuck in the back. Mason Smith back there in 8th, and Tyler Kokeko finally breaking into the top 10.
Yeah, I did think it was going to be difficult for them, especially that wasn't a great re-entry. Especially around here. Does it look like Parks De La Cruz maybe going to lose his position here? It was a good run there from Casca.
Yeah, they're going to be side by side, but Casca has the inside line here, heading into Tamburello, and he is going to make the pass, but De La Cruz certainly not going to just let him run away with this thing.
Yeah, sorry. This is what I hate. This is what I hate about this series. Is just when you think we're getting in the flow of something always happens that distracts me from what I'm supposed to be talking about. Back markers, the points leaders coming from the back. It was always going to be very difficult for them to come from the back around here. As we were saying earlier, not the easiest track to overtake on, not the easiest track to get around full stop. So it was always going to be a challenge, but I think, for me personally, I think for Kokeko, I think it was unfortunate with that early spin, which is kind of left him out in the middle of nowhere in no man's land with not, I wouldn't say nobody to set your eyes on, but it's very difficult to make good laps around here unless you're chasing somebody. And Mason just getting unfortunate, I think, with the curb and that little spin that he has, which has set him back and left him back behind a lot of these GT cars, which, you know, as we've seen, they're not the easiest cars to overtake around here.
Well, it'll be interesting to see once the pit cycle comes through, to see where exactly Mason Smith is going to fall into line. And really for a lot of these people, I mean, right now, Tyler Kokeko up into 8th place, but there was several guys that pit in front of him, and that now looks like the 3 guys in front of him are in the pit, so unless he comes in this time, he'll be up in the top 5, but still obviously has yet to pit, as it looks like Colazzo, Gonzalez, Casca, Parks De La Cruz, your top 4 in the GT3 class have yet to pit. Kokeko is going to bring that thing in, so most of the GT3s have come into the pits already, and we're starting to see some of the LMP3s now, as well as first, third, and fourth are into the pits. Alex Carver going to stay out there for another lap. So very interesting. Most of these guys coming in pretty much right at the halfway mark, and you know, maybe that's just they know they can certainly make it to the end here now that they made it to halfway, or you know, are they just really struggling and need to kind of cool those tires off a little bit?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. You know, I think I would probably want to, because those LMP cars, they run really good while they're light. They've got great speed when they're lighter, so I would want to try and eke every last little piece of fuel out of that car until I actually had to come in. So I don't know whether they've come in early to try and offset any kind of traffic, maybe, because that's another thing that we need to consider. If they are closing up on traffic, not that there's a big gap out there anywhere in particular, but if you can find yourself in a position where you're in just a little lighter traffic, that could be a big help.
So we're looking at your overall leader right now, Alex Carver, and he is going to make that right-hand turn and bring it into pit lane. So we'll keep an eye on Chris Hamilton right now. Maybe getting held up a little bit here as he's battling with the GT3 here of Mark Parkhurst. So will he be able to retain the lead after this pit stop? And I got to tell you, I mean, if these guys are, stretching it and making it just halfway, I mean, it's everybody in the LMP3 field has now pit already. So if that means that this is kind of the end of their line here, pitting right about halfway, that does not spell any kind of good news for Mason Smith.
No, very true. Oh, it looks like Carver was just leaving the pit road when I saw him. I don't know
right there, and the exit as Mason Smith goes by. So Chris Hamilton will get back into the lead here overall in the LMP3s. So a good job getting in and out, and you see that short pit certainly working out well here for Hamilton, as he's now out to about a 3.8 second lead. But he's certainly got some traffic here, and that's not what you want to do. You don't want to hit those curbs. And he's held up right now behind the 616 of Potter. It's a good run here out of the corner, so he'll be able to make that pass, but certainly allowed Carver to reel him in just a little bit right there. As far as our GT3s, they had a pit stop, and nothing's changed in both the good and bad ways. So the good is that we still have quite a battle on our hands here, as Gonzalez still all over the back here of Colazzo, as this thing is now down to 15 minutes left in the race. So while we have some time here, and while these guys are ripping around, everybody's done with their pit stops. Certainly some guys will have to make pit stops once again. You got Matthew Goring pit on lap 1, so he's going to have to most likely make another pit stop. Mason Smith and David Tamira pit on lap 7, so it's going to be very tight for them to make it all the way to the end. May have to see them come in again, but we are going to step aside and crank these guys up and give you guys a little love to hear it around Imola. We got pretty much a full field of cars here tonight, as obviously we have the LMP3s out here, but we have every GT3 car that we can that we allow here in the series, except for one, except for the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini is the only one that's not being driven out here tonight. But we got the Porsche out there, the McLaren, the BMW, or as Mark likes to call it, the BMW Prius. Since you can't really hear that hybrid out there at all. You got the Ferrari, we got the Ford, we got the Audi, Mercedes. It's a full slate of cars out here tonight. But Chris Hamilton's starting to put some laps down here as he's out there to a 6.5 second lead over Alex Carver right now. But the bigger development is in the GT3 field. As you see, no longer is Mark Gonzalez at the top of the boards and trying to figure out what exactly happened here to the 88. The only thing we can think of is either he got a pit road penalty or maybe too many off tracks and incidents that he maybe had a drive through, because he did come back into pit lane. And man, it has cost him dearly, as he is way down here in 11th place now, as he was right there behind Colazzo, had a chance at the win. And again, I mean, unfortunately, we say it too much about Mark Gonzalez. Is he's got a ton of speed, a ton of talent. More often than not, he steps on his own toes.
Yeah, and I think it might have been off tracks. I think he might have given himself a bit of a drive-through, pushing as hard as he was to try and catch Colazzo. So, I mean, that's a possibility. At some point, I'm sure we will find out. And if I do find out next week, I will let everybody know exactly what the situation was. Yeah, but yeah, that's a bit. I'm sure Mark's probably kicking himself right now. That's unfortunate, because he was absolutely with Colazzo. But now it's Colazzo with a 22-second gap between him and Ponzi. And Casca just 2 seconds behind Timothy. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a bitter pill to swallow for Gonzalez here tonight, and it's a shame. I mean, we could have had an epic battle coming there down to the end, but I don't think we're done with battles here, as we've now got some new guys on the podium spots. Obviously, Tim Ponzi was right there in 3rd place. He was looking at a podium, but this man right here, Pal Casca, we talked about it earlier, and I mentioned, you know, it seems like some of these faster guys are starting a little bit towards the back, and Pal Casca being one of them. He's made his way through the field, and now he finds himself in 3rd, but with 5 minutes left to go, he's about 2.5 seconds behind Timothy Ponzi. Not sure if he's got enough in that McLaren to make up that gap. I know he's got the fire, as Mark will point out, but I don't know if he's got enough to catch Ponzi. But right now, sitting in a podium spot, and I was just about to mention the other battle that's on the track, and it's right here, the battle in the back half of the top 5, and that is between Parks de la Cruz in 4th place and Derek Sherman right behind him in 5th. And I've seen this battle getting closer and closer as Sherman really putting in a good finishing run here with that Porsche, and certainly eyeing up a 4th position right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do I think Cass has got enough pace to catch Ponzi? Yes, I do. But with De La Cruz and Sherman absolutely now going hammer and tong, I wouldn't put either of these two, because Sherman's got speed. You know, we've done a fair bit of endurance racing with Sherman. We know he's got pace. So this could get interesting all on its own, battles up and down through the field. Let me just go back to the live chat at the moment. Barry, this is good racing. Yeah, it is actually. It's fun. Me and Carl were talking about that during the love to hear it. How busy the track is and how good the racing has been tonight. Just goes to show the quality of the field, I think. Ricky Gonzalez and damn you, Mark Gonzalez. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Ricky.
Spoken from a true brother right there.
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, bud. Couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, you need to have a word with him. Take him on one side. Just have a gentle little word in the show.
I think deep down inside, he's happy that it may not be another win that his brother can get over top of him.
Yeah. Pumpkin Slayer. Let's go, Hector. Yeah. An impressive display from Colasso tonight, Hector. A very impressive display. Being very, very smooth out there with that super controlled, a superbly driven race. And Barry Chrysler with Chris H. Yeah, he is looking good. He really is. Ricky, you know, it's stupid little brother. No, I'm not going to say that. Oh no, I just did. Over there. Oh no.
You hate to see it. I tell you what, another thing you hate to see is Alex Carver just put in the fastest lap of the race, that last lap right there with 138.51, and all these guys starting to put in some personal bests, but that being the fast lap of the race, it's a shame that it's coming now, and it's 6 seconds behind your leader, or we could have had a nice little battle there for the win. But I'll tell you what, this is not going anywhere right now, as trying to take a look here real quick to see where your leaders are, and should be getting the white flag this time by, and then we'll hop right back over to the battle there for 4th position in the GT3s, as Hamilton has got a 5.5 second lead. It's certainly dropping quite a bit here, but with only 1 lap to go, this is pretty much going to be in the books here for Hamilton, unless he makes any kind of mistakes here. But coming through here and try and get a good look at all. Well, yep, there he is. There's Barney as we go by, and the white flag is out. And I'll tell you what, I think we dropped off of this battle just a little bit too quickly, as you see right here. A bit of an issue here for Sherman, coming up over to bend and tries to get just a little bit too much, gets into the back of De La Cruz and spins it sideways. A good job recovering, and a good job right there by Tamira going around the outside of him and not getting a wreck. So that looks like it's going to sure up that position there for Parks De La Cruz, and he will finish in 4th place. And honestly, I mean, for De La Cruz here, it's a good enough finish that he may end up jumping up in the point standings and finishing this race and grabbing the points lead, as he didn't exactly do too terrible last week. Taking a look at the points coming in here, he was in 2nd place by 30 points behind Tyler Kokeko. It's certainly a big mountain to climb, but Kokeko way back there in 8th place. I think he's still going to be enough there to retain the points lead after this race, but De La Cruz certainly taking a nice juicy bite out of that. Dominic Ford was in 3rd in the points, but obviously having the issues early on in the race, and then a little bit later in the race has called it quits, so it's going to hurt his point standings. Pal Casca was in 4th in the points and running 3rd right now, so he should be able to move up as well, and it's going to be really tight between him and Parks De La Cruz. As far as the LMP3 class, it was Mason Smith by 3 points over Chris Hamilton, who is your winner here tonight, crossing the line now. And don't look now, but Sherman is right here. Not sure if Parks De La Cruz is in fuel-saving mode or what the case is. Maybe you let him get back in this battle just to make it interesting at the end, but I don't know if you want to do that, because Sherman is all over the backside here, and this battle is not over yet.
Yeah, Sherman seemed like he came from nowhere to bring that back, but he's definitely not going to let this go. A little bit of that was late on the brakes from Sherman. You can see the back end of that Porsche wobbling around. But Sneak Parks has got enough, just needs to keep it pinned. I know the Porsche's quick, but I don't think it's quick enough to pull that back.
Not at all. So good race there to the line. Parks De La Cruz going to finish in 4th, Sherman in 5th. Your top 3 are Colazzo with a great opening round here for him, the first race here in the series, and gets it done here. It was shaping up to be a pretty good battle until Mark Gonzalez had his issues, but either way, the 0-2 gets it done here in the GT3 class. Timothy Ponzi is going to finish in 2nd place, and then Pal Casca in 3rd. In your LMP3 class, it is going to be Chris Hamilton taking home the win, Alex Carver in 2nd. Pretty good battle and pretty good job by Alex to stay with Chris, and even got it down to 4 seconds there at the end. Saj Padiar and David Tilford and Jimmy Cover, got to say a lot of praise to them. All 3 of them had a pretty good run here tonight, and Padiar getting the podium done here, but even Tilford and Covert doing a good job here tonight. Good job by a lot of these drivers, really. I mean, I got to give a shout out to all of them. This is not an easy track, and especially when it comes down to passing, you just, it's all, we said it. I mean, you either got to be aggressive or you got to wait for that guy to make a mistake. And there were certainly some mistakes here and there, but all in all, I think these guys did a pretty good job here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna quickly flick back through the live chat now. Everything's over. Pumpy side, dude, I'm literally in voice chat with Hector right now.
Yeah, tell him to get over here in the core chat. We need an interview.
Yeah. If he can get over to the core chat, then we'd appreciate that so that we could interview him. Ricky Gonzalez, you hate to see it, and hashtag suck to suck. Never a truer word spoken. Barry TK, congrats to the top 3. Excuse me. Cody Jacobs, congrats winners. Seeing every tomorrow when Marco hits Gateway. Yep, should be good. Looking forward to that. Unfortunate for Kikeko tonight. It's tough. It was always going to be tough coming from the back, and I think that little area earlier on really cost him badly. Yeah, even so, 8th place, finishing from the back in this kind of grid, I'd still say that was a decent night for the man. He said he moved to VCS.
Yep, he's good. We're good now.
Oh, he's in general.
Yep.
Yeah, we got him. Thank you.
So we got our podium finishers here tonight, and we're going to go ahead and start to bring them in here. As we're going to start off with our LMP3 field, if it wants to show them to me. There we go. And first one that we're going to interview here tonight is our 3rd place finisher, and that's going to be the 01 of Sahaj Padiyar. And Sahaj, I got to say it, I was kind of keeping an eye on you. I seen that the pace that you had in the practice session, and obviously you had a pretty good pace for the qualifying. But really, it seemed like you just had a good pace in this car and a good feel for the track here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. This LMP3, it is not something I'm used to, just like the GTEs from last season. But it's suiting me a little bit better with the high downforce, and I was a little frustrated when I spun out lap 2 or 1, whichever it was, but I'm glad I still had the confidence in the car to just keep pushing and get this podium.
Yeah, I mean, a podium here at this track is certainly not easy, but especially with the field that's out here tonight. Some issues for some of your guys in the LMP3 field, but all in all, I think you had a really good run here tonight in the 01 to get that podium down.
Yeah, I saw who was it? I saw Mason have some issues early on, so that was like a sigh of relief that I wouldn't have to deal with him. He's way faster than me in all these cars, and whew.
You take it when you can get it. And I'm sure you're not going to complain.
Yeah.
Well, either way, a good run here tonight. I mean, it seemed like it was going to be tough to catch Chris and Alex. They were kind of on a different level here tonight, but 3rd place, I mean, you're still going to be happy with best of the rest here.
Yeah, I wish I could have caught up to those guys. Traffic kept getting me at a bad spot. I keep looking at my relative. Oh, I'm a second close. Never mind. It's a GT3. But yeah, it was pretty fun. Felt like I was swerving through traffic the entire time. Good times. Yeah,
and not just traffic in your own class, but traffic in the other class as well. But you did a good job here, and you bring the podium home here. So a good job here for Imola. I mean, it's again not exactly the easiest track on the schedule, but now we had to Sebring next week, and certainly a track that I'm sure more people are familiar with. So how do you feel your chance of going into Sebring?
Sebring's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people have a lot of time on that track, but that's a new car, so I'm hoping I have some advantage here like I did at Imola, but it's really just a waiting game until practice opens up.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you up there as well in that one, as it seems like you're catching a little bit more pace this season. So it's good to see that one up there. So congrats on the podium here tonight. And anybody you want to give a shout out to or thanks to before we let you go?
Yeah, you guys, I love watching the broadcasts every time you put them up while I'm at work. And one little thing. Happy birthday to my little cousin Ishani. He's 8 years old as of today. So
Nice. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, buddy.
thank you, thank you.
All right, well, we will let you go celebrate and let you go celebrate the birthday as well. So congrats on your third place, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you next time.
That is the third place finisher here in the LMP3, the 01 of Sahaj Padiyar. And now second place, we are going to bring in the 79 here of Alex Carver. And Alex, certainly a fast 79 car out here tonight, and he kept Chris honest for quite some time. But it seems like after the pit stop, he just maybe caught some traffic at the wrong times and slipped back a little bit. And unfortunately, you found that pace that you needed. You found that speed, but it was kind of in the last 5 minutes of the race when you're starting to really put some burners in and catch back up to him.
Yeah, I was trying to save my tires for after the pit stop, but right as I was coming out, I hit a bunch of traffic, lost a bunch of time, and then I don't know. Maybe if we had another 30, 45 minutes, who knows what would have happened, but I think he was pretty strong tonight. Congrats to him and his win.
So how tough was it? I mean, obviously, you want to try and keep this car on the track as much as possible, but Imola, we talk about how the sausage curbs are here, and it seems like every inside corner has sausage curbs, and it is just, it's death in these LMP3s. So how was it just trying to keep it off that the entire time?
Just being patient. If you're patient on the throttle, you could do pretty well in avoiding them. Just trying to be smooth, save the tires really is what's going to help you. Maybe not pushing too hard and not risking it for the win, you know, like Chris, if he would have pushed too much, hit a sausage curb, that would have been his night. But he didn't. He kept it under control, and yeah, we both did. It was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, even the regular curbs are pretty high. I noticed like Ravazza was pretty harsh on the sounds, at least. Like I could hear the car scraping, and that wasn't any sausage curb. Those were just normal, and it was pretty high. So I think Imola's just that kind of track. It really punishes you. I wouldn't be surprised if I would have, spun out, but luckily I didn't.
Yeah, you had a good night here tonight, and finally kind of put a complete race together. It seems like more often than not, you're one of those top three guys, if not a top guy at a track, and just one little mistake kind of it takes the night away for you. So it was a good thing to put a complete race here tonight. Unfortunately, just the 64 was a little bit too much for you, but a good finish here tonight, a second place. Anybody you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Core for putting this on. The broadcasts are some of the best I've seen. I don't know, by the subscriber count, it looks like you're all doing pretty damn good in the broadcast booth. Very professional, great commentating, and Angie 3D, and I guess shout out to Sahaj last week. I kind of friendly fired him, and wasn't that nice of me to do that. So hopefully he sees this and accepts the apology after a week. So we'll see.
Well, it sounds like we're a good break from his work day when he likes to watch this. So I'm sure he'll tune in tonight, getting the third place. So he appreciates that, and we appreciate the shout out as well. So we'll let you go celebrate with him and the rest of the guys, and congrats on second. We'll see you next week.
Yep, see ya. Thanks.
That your second place finisher, the 79 of Alex Carver, and now we'll bring in the man of the hour, and I think. We have you in the wrong room here or something like that, because you're in first, Chris, not second. I was expecting Alex to pass you at some point so you could finish your typical second, but Chris, congrats on the win.
Yeah, I'll take it. Hey, I gotta win one of these things eventually. Well, yeah. I did win last week, but anyways, I guess that's 2 in a row. I'll take it.
So I think the biggest question is, how was it running around essentially 28 cars with the same power? I mean, the only thing you guys really had more of was grip in the turns. So I mean, this was a pretty just full field, and we were just commentating about it just about the entire race, how the track map is just littered with dots all over the place. And typically in multi-class racing, you have a little bit of speed to get around those other cars. Tonight, not so much.
Oh yeah, there was an instance where I was trying to pass a GT3. I think it was Powell that like I was in the draft and then ducked out to pass him, and then we were just side by side into one.
Yeah, we did see that. And it's amazing. You wouldn't think these cars, as sleek as they look and as aerodynamic as they look, that you hit a brick wall pulling out from behind a GT3, but you kind of do. But you got it done here tonight. You were certainly a fast car out there and tough to beat. Did you ever feel like you were kind of looking in the mirrors behind and looking at Alex?
I needed to tell myself not to look at him at some point, so that way I can focus on the road ahead. But just kind of managing the gap was what I was trying to do, and avoiding X's, although I did get a bit too many X's than what I would like to do, but we'll take it.
So we've seen our points leaders here tonight, both in the LMP3 and the GT3 with Smith and Kokeko, have some issues and really struggled to try and get through the field, and neither of them coming away with a top 5. With this win here, most likely moves you into the points lead. Do you feel like it's going to be tough getting around Sebring?
It's going to be tough no matter where we go. Sebring's a little bit more forgiving of a track in terms of passing compared to Imola, I believe. There's a little bit more straight, a little bit more chances to go side by side. Where here, there's certain spots where you have to make the move before you get into the turns, or else you get to losing a second. So just timing your passes and making good passes rather than kind of there's times to give and take, and I've mentioned that to the guys. There's times to take, and there's also times to give in both classes.
Well, it'll certainly be interesting to see that next weekend. Our first race that's pretty much going to be under the lights, as the race starting at sunset. It's going to be the first time that we see this field go dark here a little bit, so it'll be very interesting. And hopefully the sun has fully set by race time, because obviously sunset in Sunset Corner is not exactly fun, and I'm sure chasing these LMP3s, let alone the GT3s, is going to be very interesting. But you get it done here tonight, 2 out of 3 here to start the season. Do you feel like these cars just kind of fit your driving style? Is it just something that you're comfortable with this car?
It's kind of growing on me. I admittedly am not a prototype guy. I say that straight up. Granted, I have 2 wins now on the season and a fast qualifier, so clearly I'm doing something right. But these cars are a handful, but they're fun. You kind of respect the car, and it'll respect you back. And Alex clearly has the pace on me. I think I have a little bit more of the consistency factor, and then just enough raw pace to stay ahead.
Well, it was certainly enough to get it done here tonight, so congrats on another win here on the season. Anybody you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
A huge shout out to everyone watching at home. We appreciate you coming out and watching it, and thank you guys for the broadcast. Couldn't do without you.
All right, well, thank you for that, and congrats on the win. We'll see you next week at Sebring.
And I'll see you guys there.
That your winner here in the LMP3 class, the 64 of Chris Hamilton. And before I forget, certainly need to give a big shout out, and should be more than just one here at the end, but shout out to Kelly Pointer and Pointer Motor Supplies for sponsoring the Core GT series here this season, and every series that he sponsors out here for Core, literally everyone that he sponsors. So thank you to Kelly. And if you're looking for anything AMSOIL, whether it's for personal use, for commercial, or if you're looking to be an AMSOIL dealer yourself, get in touch with Kelly over there at Pointer Motor Supplies. But now we'll bring in our GT3 field, and Mark, why don't you go ahead and kick it off with our 3rd place finisher here, the 221 of Pal Casca.
Pal, Mark up here in the booth. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good run from you tonight. I have to admit, I'm enjoying seeing that McLaren up there in the top 3. It's been a while, and I think it deserves to be up there a little more often. But it was a good run from you tonight. I wouldn't say steady, but it was a very controlled, what looked like a very controlled race from you tonight. Was that the plan from the offset? Try and just keep it clean and see what develops?
Well, the car was much better suited for this track versus the Canadian tire, where it wanted to kill me on 2 of the turns. Here, it didn't really want to kill me, so I had that going for me.
Yeah, it's it can be a little tricky to drive, can the McLaren? But even so, a third place and a good result from you here tonight. How did you find it? Were you deliberately trying to stay off the curbs? Well, Carl and I were talking earlier about how difficult it is to get these cars around here, especially with the severity of some of the sausage curbs. I didn't see you taking any of them tonight. Was that a conscious decision from you?
I think it was more of a mindset of trying to catch Ponzi at the end, just to keep pushing and just trying to catch him as much as I can. Was hoping for that second place.
Yeah, it did look for a while like you were going to catch him, but I think things kind of stabilised. I think maybe Ponzi kind of clocked you coming up in the mirror and had to up his pace somewhat. But even so, there's still an impressive drive from you tonight. Looking to next week at Sebring, how do you think the McLaren's going to go around there? Do you think it's going to go back to trying to kill you?
I think it's going to be the same as I think it was 2 seasons ago, where it should be pretty good.
Nice. Very nice. All right, then, my friend Bob, before I let you go, is there anybody who you want to give a shout out to before I let you head back?
Shout out to Ponzi. He was giving me the run for my money just to catch him. And shout out to 212, my team, and also Pulse Studio.
Nice, very nice indeed. Well, it's a pleasure having you up here in the booth. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I will speak to you next week, hopefully.
Yep, hopefully.
All right, that is your third place finisher here tonight in the GT3 series, the 221 of Pal Casca. Now we bring in second place and kind of steady as you go here for the 46 of Timothy Ponzi.
Howdy.
Well, howdy, Timmy. It's Mark up here in the booth. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How you guys?
Yeah, very, very good. Thank you very much for asking. It looked a bit safe for you tonight. I think it looked like, as I was saying to Pal, it looked like a very controlled race. It didn't look like you were pushing too hard, but the lap times were still there. How do you feel it went for you?
Yeah, this week I was just focusing on no mistakes. I'm tired of making silly mistakes, and it's costing me places and cost me podiums. So I was just trying to be as mistake-free as possible, although I still got some off tracks.
Yeah, right, it's similar. I think everybody at some point has gone off track. If anybody's come away from here with a 0x, then they need a separate trophy all to themselves. But it still looked like a good race from you tonight. Pal looked like he was closing you towards the end. Did you see him coming? Were you keeping an eye on your relative?
Yeah, I watched him coming. Yeah, he pushed me. I had to pick up pace or something, and yeah, he was putting in some pretty good laps. I mean, honestly, I had nothing for the guys in the front. I feel bad for Dominique and for Mark. I had nothing for them. Hector was flying. I didn't find my pace till the end of the race, but yeah, it was good to have a clean race, no mistakes. That was my goal. So, and it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, that's something that we tend to talk about a bit up here in the booth, is the consistency. Some of these races can be won on consistency alone. It doesn't necessarily just have to be raw pace, but if you can keep the car beneath you and if you can avoid mistakes, then the guys in front of you who are battling it out might indeed make that mistake. And it did seem like it played out that way for you tonight. So, second from you. Sebring next week. Are you looking to do the same thing there, or do you know much about Sebring the track? Have you run there before?
I have ran Sebring, fun track. But I haven't put a lot of time in there, but I'm looking forward to getting back. Yeah, I think that'll be really interesting with the LMP3s next week.
Yeah. I was going to have a little chat with Carl about that after the broadcast, actually, because I think it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal race.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, great having you back up here in the booth, Timothy. Superb race from you tonight. Before I let you go back and celebrate with the family and with the team, is there anybody who you want to give a shout out to?
Well, certainly. I'd like to give a shout out to you guys for the broadcast, for all the work you guys put in, and this is awesome. I give my wife a shout out, even though she was cheering for Coqueco last week. I told her.
Wow! Good grief! That's harsh, man. That's harsh.
I was giving her the business this week. I told her, he said if she wants to get shout outs, she's gonna have to get a hold of Tyler.
Love it.
Well, now it's all reversed now. It's all reversed because you're up here in the booth and Tyler isn't, and I wouldn't shout her out. I'd just let her stew now. That would be it.
It's all good. Tyler's a good guy. We cheer for him regardless, man. It's awesome.
I know. All said in jest. All right, then, my friend. I will hopefully see you soon and look forward to next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
At your second place finisher here tonight, the 46 of Timothy Ponzi. Now we'll bring in the man of the hour here in the GT3 class, and normally it takes some guys a little bit of time to kind of get their feet wet, but Hector Colazzo comes in here and just kicks the door down and tells everybody he's going to be the man to beat here, and it's certainly kind of interesting. But Mark, what do you got for Hector?
Mark up here in the booth. How are you, my friend?
All right. I'm surprised right now. I don't know how I just pulled that off, but I'm really happy with our pace.
Well, I think that the way that you pulled that off was just being super smooth, ultra consistent, and it looked to me like a very controlled drive, very controlled. For a while, I thought Mark Gonzalez, had you on the ropes for a little. It looked like there was a little bit of a mistake from Mark. And that allowed you to get past, but I mean, he was straight back onto your gearbox, and then for the longest time, you two were chasing each other around with what seemed like virtually nothing in between you at all. And then he seemed to disappear. I'm not sure whether it was off tracks and he had to make a drive through, or there was some other kind of issue. I really don't know. I'm looking forward to finding out. But that's taking nothing away from your drive tonight, because you're absolutely phenomenal. A great drive from your first time out.
Thank you.
So next week, Sebring.
Yes.
Do you have any time around that track?
Yes. Besides Daytona, that's probably the most remembered track I know. So hopefully my Porsche and me can work together and hopefully get at least a pole and a win, so we can secure ourselves in the table and show what we got.
Yeah, it's a favourite of mine, is Sebring. I love that track. Me and Carl have got some history there. Good history.
Good history. Let's clear that up.
Good history. Really good history. But yeah, as Carl was saying, came in first race, kicking down the door, letting everybody know that you're here. Looking back through the field and looking at your race tonight, who do you think are going to be your main contenders for the season?
Truly for this race, Mark, I think, was the guy I think I had to beat. Like, truly, he was amazing. Personally, like he had great pace. He was always on me. If I made a little mistake, he was always right there on my rear. Like it was impossible just to lose that pace. So honestly, I think Mark can be my contender this season.
Yeah. I think Keiko could also be up there. He won last week and had to start at the very back of the grid. Found it difficult to get through the field. One more question before you go. It looked really tough to make any kind of passing out there. How did you find it? I'm just kind of curious.
Honestly, the only way I could pass him was just by his mistakes. He was just perfect on that pace. Made a little errors, but still had maintained that gap. That Mercedes, though, on that straight, it was insane. He would gap me as soon as I got off that final corner. It was gone by at least 0.5 seconds. So honestly, it was either that pass on pit lane. I don't know how I pulled it off. It kind of just set me where I am right now. So yeah, truly, it just overall, just by his mistakes. That's only how I got by him.
Gotcha. Understood. Well then, Hector. Well, it was a superb run from you tonight. Congratulations on your your first race here at Core and your first win here at Core. Quite a feat. Is there anybody who you'd like to give a shout out to before I let you go back and give you a chance to celebrate with the team and the family?
I would like to thank Core, honestly, for hosting this and giving me the opportunity to race and get my first win in this series. I was in a VC with some of my friends. They gave me some inspiration to keep up my pace and not get sad. So yeah, and of course you two guys for being beautiful commentators and giving us the perfect quality that we needed.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's really nice to know and for you to say so. We appreciate that, Hector. Well, I'll let you go, my friend, and we will see you next week at Sebring.
Let's go.
All right, that is your winner here tonight in the GT3 series, or GT3 class, the 02 of Hector Colazzo, and clearly showing that he's new to the series, calling us beautiful. Certainly, yeah. I appreciate that, but but I will take it. I will take it, absolutely. But phenomenal race by him here tonight, and yeah, he kind of touched on it, and we talked about it. That's you either need to be aggressive or you need to wait for somebody to make a mistake, and that's exactly what he did. He waited for Gonzalez to make his mistake, and he capitalized on it, got the pass done, got the win done, and a great job for his first race out here, yeah. And not exactly at an easy place. Talked about Sebring being next week, and I mean, it's maybe some places that's a little wider than here, but I think other than the fact that it's a lot bumpier, I think it's got a lot of characteristics of Imola. So maybe these guys get a little bit of a taste of it and an idea, because the curbs there you can't take in the LMP3s because they're huge, just like here. That you may not have the sausage curves, but they're big, especially going through the first part of the track right there. You got some tight little chicanes, you got some tight hairpins. So I mean, I know some of these guys are gonna have a lot more experience going into Sebring, but I don't think it's gonna turn out too much different than Imola here tonight.
I don't think so either. What I do think is going to make a difference is the downforce for the LMP cars, because there are a lot of fairly high speed corners. I mean, coming through Sunset over that start line, especially going into turn one, I think the LMP cars are going to have a great deal more corner speed than some of the GT3. So I think that could maybe throw up a complication or two for some of the LMP cars. But it should be interesting. Sebring's one of my favorite tracks. I love that place. We've had a lot of success there. Me and yourself, Carl, running endurance races there. It holds fond memories for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I mean the fields that these guys are bringing out here. I mean, 28 guys out here tonight. We had a ton of guys out here for week one last week. It's almost a shame that it's only been 2 weeks and we're a quarter of the way through the season already. I mean, this is already 3 races out of the 12 race schedule, so it goes by pretty quick. But I mean, these guys have been putting on some phenomenal races, and I'm already looking forward to next week at Sebring, and then. It's kind of a hit or miss for some guys out here, but Monza lies in waiting at the end of the month, and I know some guys are looking forward to it. Some guys like Monza. There's a lot of guys that hate Monza, so it's going to be very, very interesting once we get there. But we got Sebring next week, and it's going to be good. We got 3 races in the books, as we said, and 2 different winners in each class, as we got Chris Hamilton getting 2 wins, Mason Smith getting 1 in the LMP3s, and then we got Tyler Kokeko getting 2 wins last week, and now Hector Colazzo getting the win here this week. So it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Hector, this is his first race, but we have the 2 drop races. So, essentially he's kind of on even par with Tyler Kokeko right now, even though it's not going to show up that way in the points. Once we start having those drop races come into play, it's going to be very interesting, and I think he'll be right in the mix and show that he's got a ton of speed to mix it up with these guys. That's going to do it for myself here and Mark. It's been another fantastic run here for the Core GT series. I want to thank again Porsche Pointer Motor Supplies for the sponsorship here of the series. Thank all you guys out there for tuning in and watching the races. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe and get yourself into everything that CRN has to offer, as we got a ton of racing here on tap just about every day of the week except for Friday and Saturday at this point, as we will have Thursdays coming into play. Starting up this Thursday is going to be the Dirt Track for Beginners series here in course. A little bit of dirt action getting mixed in here, so we got just about everything for you guys. So thank you for tuning in here tonight. Make sure you tune in here next week, if not the rest of this week. But for myself and Mark at Imola, we'll see you at the track.
Take care, people.